So today I have the pleasure of speaking to yourself, Dan. Would you like to introduce yourself and your business and what you guys do?
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, as you say, my name's Dan Corcoran. I run Reed Mace Solutions, trading as Reed Mace Talent. And essentially, what we do is talent acquisition for scaling tech startups.
Perfect. And how long have you been with the business? And
So, yeah, I founded the business in 2019. And in the last 3 years, we've serviced just between 50 and 60 clients in 3 years.
amazing, great results.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, we were profitable from, I'd say, month 2, but then I've got a sales background, so my focus was right at the start was just sales, and also I really wanted to do something that was different and better than the other solutions that are out there to the problem, because when people think about hiring, they don't think talent acquisition, they think recruitment. And actually what most people think is recruitment agencies, and that's one way of solving the problem, but for a fast scaling business, I didn't feel like it was best served for the tech startup community. So we came at it from a different angle, and really wanted to kind of change the industry. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to change the industry.
Perfect. Great. Okay. So as your business started just before, is there any changes that you had considered right at the beginning that you then needed to change because of COVID?
Yeah, good question. So I guess no, because the hiring market is always changing. There's always changes going on, whether they're political, whether they're changes to the candidate marketplace, to the client environment. There's always changes going on. So no, not really. We didn't have to make lots of changes due to COVID. However, one of the major advantages of the changes, of the difference of post-COVID, I suppose, is that we were personally able to hire people on a remote basis, which previously just wasn't really that possible, because people kind of looked at you and, back in 2019, when it was just me, as I always say, me on the dance floor, I'm dancing, I'm going, come on, do you want me on the dance floor? Let's get on the dance floor. And actually, people are just like, no way, mate, you're on your own. We want an office, we want lots of colleagues, we want all of that piece that we're used to being in an office. And actually it was really difficult. So we started looking at an office in before COVID, and we were literally about to sign it off. So we had an office all ready to go. Then COVID happened, and actually, so for me, the major change, and this has affected some of the projects we've worked on, but not massively, but the major change for me was the accessibility of talent on a remote basis, which meant that I could get some excellent people in my business.
No, perfect. And so true, and leads on to my next question, and around the great resignation that it's been called as a nickname, but how has that affected the business and the pace of recruitment?
Oh, do you know what? So there's two things actually, and most people miss this. There's the great resignation, but there's also the great reshuffle. And there's quite a lot of, I've just literally done a piece on this on LinkedIn, actually, talking about the actual stats, and the stats are quite astounding. But yes, it was, it's had major impact on all of the hiring projects. So for example, one of the projects that we worked on last year, where we hired, I think it was about 18, 20 people for one business, and we helped them to scale up rapidly in the space of a year. And all of the people that we hired were hired remotely over the internet, which, if you think about it, even 4 years ago, if you told companies that they could do all of their interviews online and hire people without actually meeting them, they'd say you were bonkers. But actually, that's a massive shift in kind of mindset. Of course, it does also bring some challenges because, for example, there are opportunist people, let's say, who can take advantage of that for fraudulent purposes. But actually, if you've got like a really solid process, it's fantastic, because the amount of time spent doing interviews when you're hiring 18, 20 people is insane. And the largest part of that is actually the traveling, the rescheduling, you know, right, because of your background as well, Sarah. But yeah, that's really the great resignations. The great resignation is the fact that a lot of experienced and older people are leaving the workforce permanently. The reshuffle is the fact that people are discontent with what's always been the norm. Now they want different working conditions. And both of those have had massive impacts, because obviously that's led to a shortage of talent across the board. And some markets are more affected by that than others. But in general, if you're hiring people, expect it to be a little bit harder than it has been previously. And then also it's given job seekers a bit of a a change in mindset, so that now they're a lot more demanding. So the conditions are in their favor, but also they want more from you, and they want flexibility. They want to be able to stay home and spend time with their family, for example. Younger workers want to travel abroad. Lots of, I think, I'm trying to remember the percentage, but it's something like 13% of workers have said that they actually want to be working from abroad, same job but abroad. And and that's a really large amount of people, actually. So yeah, those are the things that have kind of changed anyway.
No, perfect. Thank you so much for the detail. And next question is, out of all the projects that you've worked on and across the kind of those 60 that you mentioned earlier, have you got a particular standout customer or a success story to tell us?
Do you know, there's loads of success stories, but and I love them all, because part of running a business is being able to do things better, being able to impress people, and we look after all the details, right? So even when we finish projects, we buy our customers a really nice gift. During the projects, we try and spend as much time with them. We go out with them where we can. We try and give them a real red carpet treatment throughout the whole process. So it's really difficult to pick one, but I would say, notably, if you were to judge based on results of the project, there's a couple of projects in the last year or so that have been, that I think have been particularly successful. One of which I've just mentioned, actually, where we helped a company go from, I think it's about 8 people to augment by a further, I think it's around 18. Don't quote me if I'm wrong on that, but there was a press release around it. And then also, we helped a Martech business, which is an amazing business, and we helped to hire the people that then took the business in the space of about a year to an exit, which was around, it was part of a 30 million exit to Shutterstock. So you can imagine the CEO was pretty happy with that result. It's an amazing guy anyway, but that's one. And there was also a business which we helped to embed talent acquisition. I particularly like this project because they had some of the core stuff they needed to do talent acquisition and to hire their own people in place, but they didn't really know how to use that. And we worked with them, I think it was over the space of about 2-3 months before they were able to just work on their own, which is brilliant. That's quite rare. And what we put in place for them helped them to get £16 million worth of funding from VCs. So yeah, I guess there you go, there's 2 or 3.
Great, thank you. Sounds brilliant. And the next question's kind of, what's your biggest learning since becoming a business owner?
Biggest learning, I guess, well, I think my biggest learning for me personally is, throughout my career, I've worked with some amazing people and they've given me really good opportunities. However, the matrix of large organizations sometimes can inhibit creativity and can stop you from acting on your instincts and doing things that you think will help to make you successful. And if I'm really honest, whilst I've had a successful corporate career, some of those conditions have held me back. So the biggest thing that I personally have learned is to kind of trust my own instincts around, direction of the business and how I want to do business, but also to create an environment for my people where they can do that, where they can thrive, where they can act like entrepreneurs, where they can take an active interest in the direction of the business and have some stake in that.
No, perfect. Thank you. And it leads brilliantly on to the next question, which is, what is the best advice you would give your 18-year-old version?
Well, do you know what? The best advice that I'd give to my 18-year-old version was actually given to me by somebody else. So I did actually have that advice. And it was, somebody in my family. And interestingly, I did a post about this on LinkedIn as well, and he kind of chimed in and said, that sounds like amazing advice. Must have been a really exceptionally talented individual that told you that, which is brilliant. But basically, he said to me, so I guess it was a little older than 18, because I went to university when I was 19, actually. I went to India for a year when I was 18 and taught English to Indian children, but then came back and did university. And when I exited uni, I wanted to start my own business. And I remember saying to him, he ran a successful business and still does, very successful business, which he built from the ground up. And I remember saying to him, I'm ready for it. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to do it. And I said, what do you think? What advice have you got for me? And he said, well, I've got some advice, and this is it. He said, don't start a business before you started a career. Go and start a career, learn the skills, the trade, become a professional, get the experience from people who really know what they're doing. And then at the point where you've got nothing left to learn, that's at the point when you want to kind of go and start a business. And I think I went into professional sales, business to business sales. And I sold software. I did recruitment for 7 years. And then I did more software sales, etc. And the thing for me is, by the time I'd started my own business, I'd learned the basics. I'd mastered how to do sales, how to manage sales teams, albeit, if I'm brutally honest, I didn't have, 10 years experience of management behind me, but I'd started to get a glimpse of that. But I'd learned the trade, and I knew how to, build out, I suppose, a business from a commercial point of view. I think that's the best advice ever, because if I hadn't have had that, I'd have started this business with, year one, I'd have been lucky to make any revenue.
No, perfect. And what a great success story to remind the person that shared it with you originally. I know.
Well, they're successful in their own right. So, I think they've probably superseded my success, but I really appreciate your comments as well. I guess this, it has been a successful business. We've had year-on-year growth, and quite rapid growth, and we've taken on more and more clients. If anything, we're turning away clients because we haven't got the capacity to work on everything. So from that point of view, it has been a success. But I'm humbled by the fact there's always somebody better than me out there, and I'm always looking for those people, because they remind me that not to get too far ahead of myself.
No, exactly. And then the last question is, what inspires you? What outside of work inspires you?
So I bought an e-bike last year, and getting out on my e-bike really inspires me. But as you can see, I'm also a musician. So, and it's interesting to say what inspires me, because in business, I think sometimes it can be the same. Anything creative, it's the same. With music, I can pick up the guitar and I can either be in the mood or not. And if I'm not, it just isn't going to happen. And yeah, I guess for me, taking time out, being at one with nature, going out on my bike, that helps to recharge the batteries. And, especially when, in my case, I work from home a lot as well. So, yeah.
No, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, Dan, that wraps up the interview. Great job.